Welcome back to the Playoffs of Life show with your host, Adrian Hatcher.
Your co-host, Candace Thomas.
We are back with an installment of the ANC movie reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing the film Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. We're really excited to do this film. What me and Candace are going to do is just give a brief synopsis, and then we'll get into the expectation we had for the movie, as well as how we felt throughout it. And at the end, we'll give our rating on what we thought about it going forward. So,
spoiler warning if that isn't already obvious.
Yes, spoiler warning indeed. So let's give that brief synopsis. The film follows Miles Morales across the Spider-Verse after reuniting with Gwen Stacy. Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is catapulted across the multiverse, where he encounters the Spider Society, a team of spider people charged with protecting the multiverse's very existence. But when the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders and must set out on his own to save those he loves most. Anyone can wear the mask. It's how you wear it that makes you a hero. So, would you like to go first on your expectation going into the movie?
My expectation going into the movie was great music, great graphics, and just a wonderful action-packed movie. And I believe that all those expectations were met for sure. I remember when they first showed the design for Miles, people were a little upset that he changed. Me too. I won't lie, but they you don't see that his character looks different.
He looked taller.
His animation styles changed a little bit. His curl patterns changed a little bit. Those subtle things. But he's changed.
Okay.
And for animated characters, they don't change unless you're changing the animation style.
Yeah.
But they played it in nicely. They still showed clips of his younger self and did the time gap to try to make it seem like, oh, this isn't a new style. He just grew up, even though it is low-key a new style. But yeah.
My boy, but when they say he was 15, I thought, he looked like an 18-year-old.
How old was he in the first one?
I really don't remember, because I thought he was probably 15 in the first one.
Right, because 15, I don't know. I thought at least 16, 17 would have been.
He kept talking about how he's this grown man now and you gotta make his own decisions. Now he's in high school, so he hasn't. I don't think he graduated yet, because they're talking about like college applications at the beginning.
Why would he graduate yet? He's 15, Adrian.
That's what I'm saying. But at 15, were we getting ready for college applications and stuff like that?
I was. You weren't.
Okay, I was just wondering. I don't remember being 15 years old.
He's trying to get into Princeton.
Oh, that's right. He is trying to get into this preppy New Jersey school. Okay, cool. Okay, my expectation was...
Preppy New Jersey schools? You mean like one of the top schools in the country?
So so they picked a legit school.
That's a legit school. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was talking about it, so I thought it was interesting. Just when he said 15, it kind of threw me for a loop, because
it's up there with Harvard.
Yeah,
Princeton is.
Right.
Yeah.
So my expectation was pretty much the same. Going off the first one, it was really good. I don't think anybody really was going into this movie thinking it wasn't going to hold up. Animation wise, I thought it would definitely get better. I was very surprised in a good way. They did a lot of different animation styles through a lot of different colors and things at you, and your brain is processing, and it looks so beautiful. If there's one thing the film just always does great, is it holds up animation wise and how it translates on the screen for the story.
Absolutely.
The story to me was very good.
Can we talk about the music first?
The music?
Real quick?
Yeah, we can.
I do want to say the one thing I liked better the first movie than the second one. I thought the first one had better music. Like the first movie, I still have that playlist on repeat currently. So the music, there was no like standout new songs from the movie that made me like, ooh, I love this. Or even like old songs that they put in that was just like, had me focused on the music, like the first one.
Okay. They had like a lot of instrumental.
Right.
You notice? It got me hyped listening, because the instrumental scenes were literally the scenes when he was getting chased a lot.
Right.
When they were building tension.
Right. They had a lot of instrumental, which is nothing wrong with that, but I just remember the music being such a like Post Malone, if he wasn't already blown up, he definitely blew up after that movie.
Gotcha.
With that last movie was like 5 years ago. So yeah, he might not have been as big as a star as he at the time as he is now, especially. But the release of that movie, like everybody was playing Sunflower after that.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It was such it kind of went with the movie. Like if you
Right.
heard that song, you thought of the movie, or if you saw the movie, you thought of the song.
Right.
Yeah, going hand in hand. Okay, the music, yeah, I really liked it. Like you said, I can't think of anything memorable. I just know it was great.
Right.
It just went with the movie, but I can't think of.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the music they picked didn't fit.
Right.
It fit. Right. It was just typical. Not typical, but it was just like, okay, this is good music that fits this movie, but not like, I want to download this playlist.
Right. Like I was so much more encapsulated with the story and how that played out. Do you want to go ahead and say how you felt throughout the movie, like what it gave you, and how you just overall felt about it?
I really liked the movie. I'll start by saying that. Really loved the movie. I liked all the family aspects. I liked there was a scene with his dad talking to Spider-Man about his son, and I just thought that was the cutest, most heartwarming scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, what would you do if you could talk to your parents about you, but they didn't know it was you? What would you say?
Right.
You know, I thought that was a very good scene, and I liked the pacing of the movie. I listened to some reviews and some people were saying they didn't like all the family stuff at the beginning, but I enjoyed it. Like, it sets up how hard it is for him to be lying to his parents. Like, that's, that I feel like family that was a big part of him. Yeah.
If I think about what I would describe, like if one word to describe a movie, I would say constant, like tension. That'd be the word I use, because the movie doesn't really even start with Miles, and I thought that was a great story beat. Most of the time you have to really have a cohesive story, not to introduce your main character and still have me hooked. Miles' character doesn't even be introduced until we go a little bit deeper into Gwen's backstory. They start off about how she feels.
She talks about Miles in the beginning.
She does. But we don't actually like see him like grown up or anything until like a little bit further. And it doesn't take long, but they take the necessary amount of time to dive into her story, which I really liked. And them setting up. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, with the second movie, you know who the characters are. You don't necessarily have to start off with the main character. You know who the main character is going into this if you've seen the first one.
True. They even give it like a little recap too. Like they do narrative recaps of, oh, this is my story, and this is
same like what they did in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm the amazing Spider-Man. You got bit by a spider. You know the rest.
Yeah.
They did that a few times in this movie. Maybe like 3 or 4 times.
Because of so many Spider-Man.
Right.
So,
not that I mind it.
No, I didn't mind it at all. I really feel like if you're going to do an intro to all these Spider-Mans, you got to make it interesting.
Right, because we don't know who all these Spider-Mans are unless you read every comic book, and I do not read any of the comic books.
I was introduced to some that I like. There was at least 3 Spider-Man I've never heard of that I know now because of this movie. So throughout the movie, after we get to Gwen's backstory, we get a little bit into Miles. Of course, he's been lying. He's Spider-Man, so he lies to the people he loves to protect them. And we get probably the most underrated villain I've ever seen in an animated movie. We get this joke of a character named the Spot. Of course, the movie sets him up as to be this nemesis, and Spider-Man doesn't really take it seriously until we kind of hear a little bit of how he actually became a villain. And then the dude's smart enough to like become more powerful throughout the movie and actually become a threat that we actually respect towards the end of the movie. So
and I would argue that he was a little bit giving Miles the business in the beginning. I mean, it's not like Miles was saying like, why can't you just be a regular villain? Because like Miles was talking crap, but like it wasn't like he just easily whooped the Spot's butt. Like he didn't. The Spot got away several times during that fight, and Miles shouldn't have been so, you ain't a real villain, I ain't taking you serious, when the Spot was really literally like sticking with him.
He had good power. it's like when you know how to control it, it's
Right.
very
He
hard
just
to
didn't
beat
know how to
this
control
guy.
it.
Right. Just to give you some backstory, the Spot is basically a villain that was created due to this machine called the Collider. It was referenced in the first movie. Basically, this machine is also the machine that brought the Spider that actually gave Miles his powers to this dimension. And during that scene, we also see that the villain was created due to Miles gaining his powers. So they kind of went hand in hand. They both earned their powers around the same time. And as Miles' life was getting better, the Spot's life was getting worse. Basically, his family doesn't love him anymore. They don't like to look at him. He can't do anything. He's basically just stuck as what he is. And he blames Miles for all the bad happening in his life.
Even though he's the one that brought the spider
True. Very
to
true.
the universe.
You don't talk about that. He's like, I created you, but I'm blaming you for all this that has happened to me.
Right.
So as we go throughout the movie, we finally get to probably the
It's
meat and
almost like-
potatoes.
The chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because even with the Spider-Mans that are trying to get Miles, it's like, whose fault is it, Spot's or Miles? And then same question that Spot is trying to, and Miles is trying to, they're all trying to figure out whose fault is it really. It's really Spot's fault for bringing the spider over. There's
a good argument for it being more of I don't even know if really it's a Spot's fault in general. Like,
he's the one that brought the spider to that universe.
Spot was like one of the scientists. He wasn't like the main. Like, it was in the first movie, it was a whole thing. He was just there. He was part of the project, and it just happened. He
wasn't just there. He was passionate about it. Scientists be passionate about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just be. I mean, sometimes they just do it for the money, but he seemed like he was passionate about what he was doing.
Okay.
And he was enthralled in the science of it all and the amazingness of it all, and it just backfired on him. Mm-hmm. And now him getting hit with the donut, that was just him being there. Like, that was uncalled for.
I thought that's them setting up him as like not this big villain, because that played a role in him like actually getting affected by the machine. And it's just Miles even made the joke. He's like, I throw stuff at villains all the time. Like, this isn't really my fault, but that's what the Spot kept.
That was a good callback, because I acted like when they said that, like I visibly remember that scene, like even without them showing, like I remember them running and him throwing donuts as weapon. Like, so it was a good callback. They had a lot of like callbacks and references in this movie. Like it's like this movie is like 70% callbacks and references.
Mm-hmm. And as we go along with the movie, we finally get into the deeper part of the story, where Miles Morales is, I guess, he gets encapsulated because of Gwen. Gwen kind of puts him into the radar of the Spider Society, this group of Spider-Men that basically protect the multiverse, and they're all connected by these things called Nexus events, where they basically sacrifice the demon.
I don't know what they're called Nexus events.
It's not Nexus. What was it called?
I don't know. I don't remember. We were calling it Nexus events because we couldn't remember. But
okay, well, these events that happen in their lives that lead to them becoming fully fledged Spider-Man, like they all have to go through these
cores, or like something like that, core moments or something like that. It started with C, I think.
Okay, catalyst. I feel like it was something close to what we're thinking. As we go about the movie, we get to a point where Miles has to make a choice. The Spider Society has been built off this foundation that if they don't allow these events to actually happen to each Spider-Man, it's going to lead to the whole multiverse being destroyed. Miles realizes that what they're really trying to tell him is that the only way that things can stay balanced and that everybody can be happy in the Spiderverse is if he lets his father, who's soon to be captain, die.
He ain't saying that. He's saying, this is my daddy. I'm saving him regardless of what you're saying.
No. I'm saying this is what they're telling him. They're telling him in order for the Spiderverse to stay the way it is, he needs to let this happen. And Miles is like, no, I'm not with that. I'm not about to just let my dad die and just act like it's supposed to just be cool with this. So it eventually leads to him actually going up against pretty much thousands of Spider-Men. trying to get back to his
old
universe.
friends included.
And eventually Gwen and I forgot what Peter that was, but Peter with a baby. His mentor. Peter with a baby. This in this movie, his mentor. They of course they love Miles. You know they know Miles better than all these other Spider-Men, and they're actually on the side of our other character Miguel O'Hara, who's Spider-Man 2099, basically the leader of this Spider Society. You know, he's been through some tragedy in his life, and he feels like he's the best man for the job to basically keep everything in order and to make sure that Miles is following orders and making sure.
Okay, he hasn't been through some tragedy in his life. He tried to change an event, and it caused a catastrophic repercussions, meaning the whole universe that he tried to change.
That sounds like a tragedy.
That's not a tragedy. Somebody died. One person died.
He lost his daughter.
His daughter was not he didn't have a daughter in his real universe. Those weren't his children.
The other universe daughter that he wanted.
It's not the tragedy wasn't that one person died, Adrian. The tragedy is that the whole universe collapsed and nobody in that universe existed anymore. Right,
but he went there to live the life of that version of him, and he lost all of that.
Yes, but the whole point that he's making is it's not about one person. That's the whole point. It's not about I lost my daughter. It's about the billions of people dying. That's what he's trying to get Miles to realize. Understand. It's not about any one person.
Okay.
And that's why he's so righteous about what he's doing, because it's sacrificing the few for the many. I believe.
No, you're right. We get to pretty much like a standoff, I guess you would put it. Like Miles' ideal of I can basically save everybody and still save my universe. And throughout this movie, we really
is kind of like, okay, how you gonna do that? He don't have no real plan.
Well, he has a plan.
He didn't have a plan. He was just running.
You know what? He had a plan while he was running, though.
No, he was coming up. He said, I'm still choosing which one. That's not having a plan.
Okay.
That's coming up with it on the fly.
But it got to be hard to come up with a plan when you got thousands of other Spider-Men chasing you.
Not really. You'd be surprised about your fight or flight instincts kicking in.
We can just say Miles is really smart.
All the Spider-Mans are really smart. We know that Miles is smart. That's not a question.
Was he at that moment? He was smarter than others. He basically outmaneuvered every other Spider-Man in there.
That doesn't make him smarter. That makes him more. I think that makes him like one of the top Spider-Mans, ability-wise.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes him smarter, but it definitely makes him. But they're all smart. Like they're Spider-Man. Spider-Man is like one of the smartest characters. So.
And then we also get back into learning about the Spot. Like we said, he was pretty much the first half of the movie. It was kind of a joke, and then as the movie goes on, he realizes that he can actually go into multiple dimensions. So he aims to become more powerful. His ultimate goal is to become powerful enough to be Spider-Man's true nemesis, to be the one to take everything from him.
Which, talk about small-minded thinking. I mean. You was already sticking with in my opinion, he was already hanging with Miles during that little battle that they had. No, maybe not. Miles wasn't putting his all into it, and he was. But after absorbing 2 or 3 dimensions, portal things, he was already strong enough. He just, when he went and kept getting more and more and kept getting more powerful, and then he was basically they showed him all Spot with a little bit of white. He was way overpowered for Miles. Think bigger, world dominations. I mean, not to say that I don't like his character, I do. But I was just thinking that's your whole goal, is to be a true nemesis of Miles.
In a crazy
think bigger,
way,
sir.
He's destroying the whole multiverse.
No, he's destroying Miles' world.
Well, he destroyed the
and not really. He's not even destroying it. He didn't destroy any in Spider-Man's world. Miles did. Okay. No, he wasn't trying to.
Right. That's right.
He was just trying to get the reactor stuff.
Right. So Miles saving.
That world destroying got nothing to do with Spot.
Right.
Miles did that, which is what the Spider-Mans were arguing. You keep going in and changing stuff. Nobody's asking you to change stuff.
Yeah, so Miles basically averts one of these events that is supposed to happen, and by him doing that, he inadvertently is causing, like I guess they kept saying it was like a giant web that is connected, and he's breaking,
Spiderverse.
he's breaking the Spiderverse down. I like the way they did that recap too. It was really cool. He's breaking the Spiderverse down by not allowing these events to happen, and eventually, when it breaks down, it causes all these worlds to start to just disappear. And even throughout the movie, I think Miles really struggles with identity, like being able to feel like he has true freedom in his choice of being Spider-Man. And it's kind of like every turn he makes, people keep telling him what to do and how he's supposed to do it. And like any teenager, he doesn't agree with it. He's not feeling that.
Right. And like any superhero, really, like most superheroes believe they can save everybody. They'll soon find out if that's true or not. But we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll find out. They don't tell us in this movie.
Okay, well we can get to that part, because I know that's probably the part that we have the most divisive take on. So as the movie reaches
the plot hole first.
Okay, plot hole.
Yeah, I just thought I felt like there was a plot hole in the whole, you can't change these events, they have to happen, or the world's going to end, the universe is going to end. But Gwen, by joining the Spider People correlation or whatever, unless that was supposed to happen, which maybe that was the case, and then that just wasn't made clear to me as the viewer, but Gwen changed her father's course. He was no longer the chief. Gwen's father, in my mind, was Gwen's father not headed to die?
Do you want to give the backstory on Gwen's father that led up to that moment? Like what occurred that even got Gwen really...
Well, yeah, in the beginning we talked about how they showed Gwen's backstory, and basically Gwen killed her Peter Parker, but she didn't. But he was transformed into like a giant alligator, like effing people up. And so, but she didn't know it was Peter Parker. She murdered him. Her dad saw, the Lady Spider.
Murder's a strong word.
I mean,
she
killed.
Was battling,
but he's killed.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
What she did caused him to die. I don't know what else to call it. Is a hit and run murder?
That's the way we put it. Like she was like, because the whole thing was the dad was saying was like, you murdered Spider-Woman.
Well, I'm telling about it from his perspective.
Okay.
Like I'm telling, this is how it happened.
Okay, cool.
She murdered Peter Parker, and then her dad walked in on it, didn't know it was her, but assumed the Spider-Woman was evil and that murdered Peter Parker, like for malicious intent. He didn't see Peter Parker as an alligator, whatever. Because if it wasn't Peter Parker and it was just an alligator and that alligator died, would you say she murdered him? You're just saying no because it's Peter. Because if she knew it was Peter Parker, she wouldn't have murdered him. But if it was just an alligator effing people up and she did that, would you say she murdered him?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you could say murder. It's like when you think about superheroes, you don't think that they can.
She just didn't know
these people,
but they do.
They're doing a necessary service, so you know. What
but
I'm saying?
They do.
But the word
who decides who lives and dies?
I mean,
that's the whole point of the judicial.
Villains are making that decision for themselves.
Yes, but that's the whole point of the judicial system. If we all just decide who lives or dies, that makes us all villains.
Because they're like vigilantes in general. So it's like as a vigilante.
Yes, but that could quickly go from being like, who decides what's right and wrong?
That's true.
A vigilante could quickly become a villain.
That's true.
By their own ideology. I mean, we see it happening right now with the main Spider-Man. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is the father saw Peter supposedly murdered by the Spider-Woman. He's hunting her for months. He eventually finds out that Gwen is Spider-Woman, and he decides he's going to arrest her. He decides, I don't care that you are my daughter. I'm going to take you down anyway. Gwen leaves, goes to the Spider Coalition or whatever, the Spider headquarters or whatever, for months. during that time that she's gone, we found out later that her dad, towards the end of the movie, we found out that her dad quit being the chief, which somewhere in the mid of the movie, which is the whole reason why Miles was trying to save his dad. Apparently, the chief always has to die, is what they're making it seem like. Is that correct?
I thought they were
because
saying
that's what
like
happened.
there has to be like a necessary sacrifice, and just because the Spider-Man's all connected, usually it's like they lead to it being the chief. Like if the dad or Uncle Ben are always doing something that leads.
But I thought that, to me, I think they're showing that it has to be a chief and an Uncle Ben.
Yeah, I thought there was just like a correlation. Like, oh, they always just happen to be.
If that's the case, then why does Miles' dad have to die? See, that's the plot hole right there.
Yeah, but
because like
that's also thinking that every Spider-Man's dad is gonna be.
No, that's not, because the Indian guy, that wasn't his dad. That was Gwen's dad. That was about to die.
Indian guy?
Yeah, the Indian spider,
the
Pakistani. I don't know what his race is, but
his little girlfriend's father.
That was Gwen's dad, and he was about to die.
Okay.
So it was just the chief of the universe. Either they're friends. It doesn't have to be the chief is Peter Spider-Man's dad. It can be Spider-Man's friend. It can be Spider-Man's girlfriend's dad. It can be.
Yeah.
They just have a relationship that affects Peter or Spider-Man when the chief dies. Yeah. In every universe is how I saw it.
Okay.
So the whole thing with Miles messing up, what is that Spider-Man's correct name? I don't want to keep saying the Indian Spider-Man, because that just seems like, I don't know, racist.
I mean,
I'm looking it up right now.
To be honest with you, I don't know what that is. It had to be something that we couldn't spell initially, that we just couldn't say it off the top of our heads.
I was trying to get his number. I wasn't trying to get like his name.
Okay,
he's Spider-Man from Earth 5101.
5101. Okay, cool. So we'll just say Spider-Man 5101.
Yes, he had the choice to save Gwen or Gwen's father. And in that moment, it looked like he was going to choose to save Gwen, and the chief was going to die. And because Miles went and saved the chief, that caused Spider-Man 5101's whole world to be destroyed. I just thought that showed if this doesn't happen, this will happen. So Gwen's father quitting and not dying as the chief, is that not causing a change that could cause the whole thing to implode?
Yes.
Or are they trying to imply that now there's a new chief that's going to die? Or is it because Gwen is not really in that universe? There's so many possible, it's not explained, and to me it's a big plot hole that I don't understand.
One thing that we really couldn't get a definitive answer on, to say okay, this is what they were trying to portray in the movie.
Because even if it's not that the chief specifically has to die, that main Spider-Man of the Spider-Man headquarters, which Spider-Man was that?
The headquarters?
Yeah.
2099.
That Spider-Man, all he did was take the place of a Spider-Man that already died, and because he wanted a family.
Yeah.
And him doing that, he didn't save anybody's life. He just took the place of somebody, and that caused his whole dimension to crumble.
Well, the
so
dimension
it's
that he went into.
Yeah, the dimension that he went into to crumble. So it's that make it seem like any change you make causes it to crumble. So which one is it? Does these specific things have to happen, or anything can happen? I don't. It's just a plot hole to me.
It's a plot hole for sure. I think we had this huge debate over it because we didn't feel because I was trying to argue that this was intentional, and then you were like, no, they just didn't know how to really put this together the right way to make me not question it.